welcome to Follow Up Boss office hours. Really excited to dig back in and get going. My name is Lee Adkins. I'm joined today with Dayton Kessler. How are you, Dayton?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do at Follow Up Boss and all that, and then we'll dig in.
For sure. So I am on the success team here at Follow Up Boss. And, we really just want to help teams get the value that they're looking for, help elevate their business, and overall just provide an amazing customer experience.
Love it. Yeah, you guys are. I've always interacted a ton with the team. You guys have grown a lot recently. Got to meet a lot of you guys I hadn't met yet at FUBCon, and really love what you guys do. Really help people dial in with what they're doing. And some people may have a dedicated success manager. Some people may
Sure.
just click on the button and get next available. But if you haven't, lean on your Follow Up Boss success manager.
Yes, and we are growing. So you'll probably start to see some new faces. And also Janelle, another amazing success manager on our team. She will be in the chat in the Q&A today. So make sure to say hi to her as well.
Awesome. Love it. Well, we're going to focus on email today. And that's obviously a really broad topic, specifically to the things you can do in Follow Up Boss. And I also just want to say right up front, some of these have different permission levels. So if you're the owner of the Follow Up Boss account, you may see different things versus an admin versus an agent. We'll do our best as we go to kind of explain which are relevant, but this webinar should be relevant to everybody in some way, shape, or form. So,
For sure.
cool. Well, we'll dive right in. Oh, what's up, Will? Nice. Another familiar name. But Dayton, like, what are some of the different ways at a high level? What are some of the ways you can email using Follow Up Boss?
Yeah, for sure. So in Follow Up Boss, there's several ways we can email. We utilize email templates for a lot of things regarding like emails and action plans, but we can email one-on-one. As you know, that's how the smart lists kind of go off that one-on-one personalized communication. And then we can also batch email. Share my
Yeah,
screen.
perfect. Yeah, we'll go ahead and share your screen. And so, yeah, there's the one-off. You can obviously type an email and Follow Up Boss.
Mhm.
You can use templates that already exist, action plans, maybe sending templates magically on your behalf.
Yep,
And then
magically.
you can
Yep.
do and then you can do the bulk email, the
Yep.
batch email. So
Yep. So let's just dive on in and kind of get started with email templates. You can find that here under admin and then email templates. Now, whether you're owner, admin, or agent access, you will see this screen. So everyone can make their own. And then you also, something newer, I don't know if you guys have probably covered this before, but we can also organize email templates by folders now, just a side note.
yeah,
Um,
big fan of folders. And I don't want to rush through folders too much because they're awesome.
yeah.
Um, templates can also be in multiple folders.
Mhm.
So they're almost like tags in that sense. So if you need to have like
For sure.
agent buyer emails, and some of those emails are also in a seller email or something like that, you can organize them that way. And it makes it really helpful for people to find them, to be
Yep.
able to apply them if you put them in folders that are well named.
For sure. And you might just share folder or like emails in certain folders with certain people and things like that. So here's a little check mark here to share this template with everyone, but I'll kind of back up here. So if we are in email templates, we'd add a new one. And my favorite thing about utilizing email templates is that we have merge fields. Merge fields are amazing for customizing it. Just because, I mean, we'll talk about this more in the webinar, but there is a huge push for quality over quantity. And, our calling and texting and emailing, all this best practice, we really focus on that one-on-one personalized communication. So as personalized as we can get it, the more personalized we can get it, the better. So these merge fields work really good because you can say, contact first name, I can't even type, have you seen this house or, heard the news or anything like that. But you're going to get a higher response rate when you put their name in the subject line or anything like that. As you're forming your email template, you can use merge fields to use. One of my favorites is where is it? Greeting time. So good
Yes.
morning, things like that. And then merge fields are also awesome because you can pull from all the custom fields that you create on your own. So if you have something that you want to keep in Follow Up Boss that we may not have a space for, you can use it in a custom field and, put it in that way.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll just give a big second for that. And there's so many of them. I mean, there's so many things that you can do. We have some clients that use different systems, like High Note comes to example. It's like a presentation type software, and you can create a presentation unique to that client. If you put it in a custom field, you can have an email template to always send things like that. So merge fields are almost unlimited in the cool things that you can do with them.
100%, because, and we'll go to action plans in a little bit, but because action plans, when you are sending emails through them, we're using email templates that we've already created in the system. And we'll talk about it, regarding the pixel or the lead flow, but you can really use merge fields to narrow down on, the property that they inquired about, or maybe something that they're viewing on your website that you gained access from the pixel with. So it really lets them know that you are paying attention to them, you are interested, and, it's not just another number for the commission check, basically.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. And I'm a big fan of that time of day one too. It's a great way to and I believe that I assume that works with their setting in their Follow Up Boss to their time zone. So good morning would happen
For sure.
prior to noon, and good afternoon would happen beyond.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. And then the other thing, and you can do these in batch emails as well, but we really want to start leveraging like video in our email templates as well. So if you have a bomb, you can connect to your bomb. I don't think this one's connected.
Yep.
And record your own video or place one in there. You can insert YouTube videos that you've made or anything like that. So just know video is going to be another great feature that we want to put in those email templates.
Absolutely.
Anything else that I'm missing on email templates, or should we dive into action plans?
Yeah, I think that's good. Let's hop in real quick to just sending it as a one-off, like how to apply the template. And then also the idea that you can still edit. You can edit it after you add it before you send it. So if you want to add a personal note, which I would highly recommend, hey, nice talking to you yesterday, or happy Friday, is a powerful way to use these.
For sure. Okay. Yeah. So email templates are really good for a base, but then you can always, when you go to send it, add more to it, customize it a bit more. Yeah. So I've just clicked on Dan's account here, and I'm just going to click send email. So then to use a template that's existing, we would just click on templates. We can just search for this one. And you see here, there's a merge field. So Dan's name already auto-populated. So it's pretty simple and straightforward, but just know before you can send it, you have the ability to edit. So you can, type anything in here you want. You can add like an emoji up here. And then the cool thing is that we have the ability to schedule these as well.
I'm really big into that. I want to make sure people see that, because I'm a big fan of, if you're doing prospecting time, maybe you don't want to send out a whole bunch of emails and start getting responses and get distracted from that. So if you're early in the morning, if you want to schedule them to go out at 9 or 11 or something to that effect, sure. I'm all about that.
Yep. And this works really good if you want to like process it a bit, because once you've scheduled it, you can also cancel it. So you see, once we've scheduled it, it's going to show up in their like timeline, I guess, that it's scheduled, but you can always view it and cancel it. So maybe you needed to just sit on that one and think about it for a little bit, or, anything like that. Right. So,
or shoot, they replied before it sent.
Right,
so
right.
Go stop it.
Yep, for sure.
Love it. That's great. Yeah, I think that's great. The only other thing on email templates, which I think we'll tackle right now real quick. Okay. Can you hop back real quick to add to reporting? Oh, no, I'm sorry. You're in the right place. Okay. Email templates. Just wanted to see or show people that the templates do gain stats as you use them. So you can use this a little. I don't know why I made that folder with no plan in it, but yeah. And this is a demo, so there's no emails sent from it.
There we go. There's some small numbers in there, but yeah, you can see how many times it's sent, the open, for sure. And we'll kind of talk about this, but your action plans are going to consist of email templates. So when you are using your action plans, you'll see action plan reporting, kind of how those are performing. But it's also good to go check on those emails within your action plan on an individual performance basis to see how they are doing as well.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yep.
that's, I mean, that's the measure of their working, right? Are people replying? Is stuff happening? Are people opening them?
Yep.
So really good intel here to tweak or go, this one works really well.
Yeah.
Oh, we have the name in the subject. Of course, this one gets higher open rate. So, little intel you can do there.
Yeah, for sure. Just play around with it and just small improvements, you'll probably see a big increase. Um, forgot what I was gonna say. It'll come back to me
Yeah,
as we keep talking.
no, it's all good. It's all good. There's a lot of stuff and it's all kind of intertwined. So speaking of,
Yes.
action plans are the next step. And yeah, I'll let you take it from
Yeah,
there.
for sure. So action plans are basically just a series of steps. So they're like our version of a drip campaign on steroids. So I'm in admin action plans and I'm just going to add a new one. So you have the ability to make a whole bunch of actions from action plans, but we're just going to focus on emailing today. So as we're making this, action, I can't spell out test action. As we're making this one, you see here when the action is send email, you choose from a pre-existing template, or you can make a new one in the moment. And you can, have as many or as little of these as you want. You will put when you want them to send, things like that. One feature of action plans that I love is that you can pause when the lead responds, because if your action plan is successful and they respond to it, we don't want to keep inundating them with emails that aren't meant for them anymore. So I always advise that you keep this on, because if they responded, that's like the perfect time to make that one-on-one connection, um, instead of just the generic, how's your home search and things like that.
Right. Right, for sure. And I want to talk a little bit. I was actually doing something in the chat real quick, and maybe you cover this. I want to talk, you mentioned it, but I want to be uber clear about the pauses thing. Those are great for conversion plans. If they're like,
Mhm.
hey, we didn't get your number, or hey, we haven't had time to talk yet, you
Yeah,
want that to stop automatically if they've replied, even if it's like, take me off, or who is this? Like
for sure.
that's okay. But in a situation where you want to run like a nurture campaign or something like that, you would want that box not checked, because
Right.
they're going to be contacted. You talked to them, figured out they were a nurture, and you want it to keep running. So just be mindful of that.
Yes. Yes, but let's talk about that. So a lot of people, what we hear probably more than anything at Follow Up Boss is, how can I apply an action plan en masse? And the answer is that you can't, because people think that the answer to nurturing their database is setting them up on action plans, which they can be good, on one-to-one instances. But really the best way, I don't know if you guys seen how to revive your stale database, but I kind of talked about how to revive these stale leads or people that might be nurture, is actually going to be a batch email. And we'll talk about that in a second, but action plans aren't, created to be in mass. I know so many people will kind of want it to be in mass, but just know it's purely, it's intentional. There's always a rhyme and reason to, I guess, the madness, you'd say. But action plans really thrive for the speed to lead under lead flow. And then I really want to touch on using automations to never miss a date, so we can automate those emails for birthdays and home anniversaries. Um, so here under lead flow, this is going to have all your lead sources connected. So you have the basic setup of who you want it distributed to, things like that, but you also have the ability to assign action plans. And this is why I was saying this is where they thrive. You have the initial text or the initial email. Your email can go out for the speed to lead, and it can keep going as a secondary form of communication. Let's see. Let's see. I have no idea. There we go. It can work as a secondary form of communication, but again, because action plans are more generic, we really want to utilize the smart list when trying to convert to make sure that we are following up with the right people at the right time, because action plans will not make people fall off the list. We really want to form that connection and see what their goals are. That way we can always come from a place of contribution or providing value.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. That's great.
Okay, cool. The other thing where I love using action plans in conjunction with our automation, we have a really amazing help doc on it. It's called Batch Emailing Best Practices. You might need to check that out. But anyway, it's called Using Automations to Never Miss a Date. And the premise that we're talking about already is come from a place of contribution or providing value. And the best way to do that is to tell people happy home anniversary or happy birthday, just to let them know that you are thinking about them in a non-real estate sense, I guess. And this help article walks you through it step by step. If you ever want to reference it after today's call, Janelle can put it in the chat below. But let's kind of go over what that looks like. So say we have an action plan that is called birthday email. Automatically pause this action plan when the lead responds. Doesn't matter at this point because it's just going to be one and done. So we would make the action be an email, and then we would make a template. I don't know if there's one in here right now.
Yeah, there may
There's
be
the dog on the
there's
trampoline.
probably the stock birthday one. Yeah. There you go.
There we go. We'll just use that. It's already in here and there's already an action plan for it, but we'll just kind of do it again so everyone kind of knows. And then we just have it we want it to run immediately as soon as it's their birthday. So we'll go ahead and save that. And then under
be sure you make the action plan first. I literally still make this mistake every time. I start the automation. I'm like,
I know.
Got to make the plan.
You have to make the email template and then the action plan and then the automation. And
right.
Then it's a process for sure. Okay, so you can see here, there's already one turned on, but I want to walk you through it just one more time. So we're going to automations and we're going to just click a new one. So we'll just call this, oops, I cannot spell today, birthday email. And then what we're going to do is select our trigger, like what is going to start this action plan to run. So in our instance, it would be a calendar date. And let's see, we've got birthday. Other thing to note here is that the birthday is recurring, which is good. That way it's not just one and done. So we'll say birthday is in 0 days. Some people will add a condition that the email is good or it's not empty, but not necessary, you can. But then the action or the result is going to be that birthday email action plan. And I always say run automation multiple times per person. But if you do that, it's really important on your own personal calendar to mark it, to change the email template every year. That way they're not getting the same dog on a trampoline every year, unless it's what you want to be known for. I mean,
I'm so glad you covered that because I do that the same thing with people all the time. It's like just update it end of year, update it, just update it once a year, and then no one will get the same one year after year. That's for
sure. But the automation will keep running. So I guess that's something to kind of note is like these email templates and action plans, you can still edit them and the automation will still use them. So just know they're always editable, but still always going to be usable. I don't know if that.
Yeah. No, that's a great way to say it. And I'm glad you mentioned that too, because some people will go in, and if they're used by multiple plans, you want to be mindful of editing it because the template
for sure
lives on. If you edit it, it will send it to people if they're still upcoming in that with that email coming. So
100%.
Important to note and be mindful of. Although now we don't need to look at this, but when you are on email templates, there is a little thing that says in use by 2 action plans or in use by 3 action plan. So it's helpful, but good to be mindful of that.
For sure. Yep, absolutely.
Just one more thing I want to mention real quick. As much as I love the easy button on automating this, you can of course make that action plan a task to you to follow up. You can make it, hey, 3 days in advance, send a handwritten card. You can do whatever you want with it. I love using the email template example here because we're talking about email. But just be mindful that you can do whatever you want.
You can create a smart list to see upcoming birthdays for people you want to give a call to.
Exactly.
But but that's where I really think action plans thrive, is these type of things or the lead flow. Because when we talk about, nurturing someone, like we still want it to be valuable to them, as, if you've been on Zillow before, you've probably become inundated with emails from realtors. So we really want to help you stand out, and batch emailing and one-on-one is how we'll do that. But anyway, we've created this automation. All we have to do is save it and enable it. I'm not going to do that because we already have one like this, but anyway, you kind of get the gist.
Awesome. We have a couple of quick questions I want to tackle.
Sure.
They're somewhat relevant to this, at least before we move on.
Okay.
There's a great question about, what's considered a response. So if we have that box checked, that if they are showing, and this I guess also goes for the reporting as well. So what would be technically considered a response in just to either stop the plan or to be in the metrics of the email template?
You know what, Lee? That is a great question.
I
I
believe
think it's called text or email to you, but I could be wrong.
yes, and I've gotten this wrong live myself, and I should remember the answer. I'm 99% sure. I mean, obviously, a reply to the
To
email
the email for
is
itself,
considered
yes.
reply, and I think it's actually considered engaged. Is technically the headline.
Yeah.
So, no, that's on action plans. My mistake. If
I
you
know, I'm trying to think.
yeah. I mean, the short answer is it's definitely just a response. If somebody respond, there we go. But see,
There we
that's
go.
on action plan. So it counts if you manually
You,
pause, it counts.
if you drop your email in the chat, I will get back to you. I will
Yeah,
find out for sure.
perfect. All right, cool. Will actually just dropped it in.
Oh,
Although
perfect. Thank you so
Will,
much.
can you drop that to everybody? That was just to hosts and panelists. That's a beautiful answer though.
Thank you.
Awesome. Perfect. So that
up,
tackles all of that. So I think now
Mhm.
we'll hop into batch emails. And I want to give a quick word of caution as we hop into batch.
Mhm.
You may or may not have this ability. Some accounts you can turn it off globally.
Yep.
Be sure if you're a team member that it's clear with your team owner or leadership if they want you to be batch emailing. And to Dayton's earlier point, couldn't recommend enough against just batch emailing big chunks of people. It's bad for your domain reputation. It's bad for a lot of things. It's bad for response rates. So just going in here and blasting people all the time it's a good way to clean up your email list, but I don't recommend it.
For sure. Yeah, we really want to be careful. Like, batch emails are for a targeted audience. For a particular reason, like why you're reaching out. So we don't want you to end up on spam lists or anything like that. So just, again, always have a purpose, and, a purpose to who you're sending to as well.
Right.
So,
Right. And one more quick question. This was good. It was a bit earlier, but about merge codes. If you're
mhm.
getting their example was Zillow lead, but really anybody who doesn't give you a good name, or sometimes we'll get no name, or we'll get, I won't say any bad words, but we'll
Mhm.
get an inappropriate, fake name.
Yeah.
Any thoughts for workarounds
Yeah,
on?
for sure. So if you have people that are giving you those names, instead of using merge fields for their name, just say like, hi there, or anything like that, and then use the other merge fields provided to customize the email further, whether that be about what they've inquired about or anything like that. But just know, like, the action plans and the email templates, they are amazing, but you still have to go in and customize a bit more on those one-offs like that.
Absolutely. And my kind of best practice on that too is, if they come in as no name or it's spelled funny, number one, look at their email address. A lot of people's
Right.
email addresses are first name, last name at gmail.com or whatever. So you may be able to intuitively, which won't help you on the automatic plan. Or it's another great touch point just to be like, hey, thanks for coming in. Really glad we didn't get your first name, or what's your full name, or whatever. So again, automation is lovely. But sometimes just that extra touch can A, help with conversion, and B, help you keep a cleaner database, because you're not going to go update the no name 6 months later. Do it when they come in, and then you'll be good to go on a future action plan.
For sure. I'm gonna pause on batch emailing really quick, because I feel like we forgot to mention the most important part is when you are emailing in Follow Up Boss, under My Settings, you want to make sure you have your email connected. That's going to be a huge part. That's where these emails come from. That's where we sync the client conversation. So we want to make sure that you have that connected for
Yes, I'm really glad
some
you
of our
mentioned that.
newbies.
It is not your login email. I mean, ideally,
Correct.
they're probably the same, but the
Right.
connected email is the email that it will come from. So that's
Yep.
very important. And be sure, ideally, it's your company email. I mean, if you use Gmail, fine. But if you have a company, my name at teamname.com, definitely makes the most sense to connect that. It makes your calendar work right. This makes a lot of things work right.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I just want to throw that in there.
No, I'm so glad you did, because I also learned that the hard way one time.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So I want to jump into batch emailing now, but before that, I want to go here to admin integrations. And again, this is a test account, so we don't have it on. But when we are using batch emailing, if at all possible, we always want to link to our website or a landing page or anything like that with that the pixel is installed on. That way we can kind of see the inner depths, I guess, of our leads' brains, and kind of what they're looking at. So this little snippet of code just goes on your website and it will pull in leads if we have form capture on, but it's also going to just show us what they're viewing, what they favorite, what they inquire about, and things like that, which again is going to help us with those personalized communication. Okay.
Yeah. And actually, back to this, and we don't need to go back to it on screen, but one of the coolest merge fields is the last 5 viewed. And so if you've got Pixel installed, you're going to know the last 5 viewed. And whether you send it manually or through an automation, you can actually literally send them an email with picture cards of the last 5 properties they looked at and say, do you want to go see any of these? Do you want any more information? So really good use of that. But yeah, I'm glad you covered this. And if you aren't tech savvy at all, if this isn't your thing, with most websites, you can copy that code and email it to support. I don't want people to think they have to like become webmasters. I mean, you just need to get that code to somebody and they'll get it on your site.
Yeah, your web provider can help you. We can help you. Sometimes you stumble around and you do it on your own and we say, good job. Don't be intimidated by it by any means. So absolutely. Okay, so when we are batch emailing, we're going to start from the people tab. And I always say start with all people and clear filters. What is happening right here?
Yeah, I know, it's weird. The number even went down.
Okay, here we go. Just had to do it. And this is where we're going to use, whether that be tags, stages, anything like this, to really drill down or segment our audience that we want to batch email, or, it could be smart list based and things like that. For today's purpose, I really want to use the smart list for stale leads, which shows any leads that were created more than 11 days ago. So at this point, we haven't converted them. So if we have 101 people, we're going to select all of them. Keep in mind here, it's going to just select 24 at a time. We want to select everyone. And then we're going to click this batch email button. Now, the cool thing about batch emailing is that we've got like parameters in place. So it's not going to like inundate people with emails, and you're going to get on spam lists, like it goes out slowly. But just note that if you are a large account, we can only send 10,000 emails per user per day. So if you are going to be sending more than that, you will have to upgrade to a bigger SendGrid account. Yeah.
But that's plenty. I mean, I don't know a world.
I don't either, but
yeah, it happens.
It does happen for sure.
And somebody asked a question earlier, and Janelle answered it in the chat, but I just wanted to mention it. The question was, what is a small group? And I think, and I'm not an expert on email reputation or any of those things, but, the open rates, the click rates, all those things drive that. And especially if you've never done this, do it with some past clients, do it with some active clients, use it. If you use it with people that are going to click and open and not unsubscribe initially, it'll be a lot better. And then ultimately, if you want to do some prospecting thing or reverse prospecting, hey, you inquired in this zip code last year or whatever, it's going to increase your deliverability and how all that stuff works. For sure. Yeah, just tell your friends and family that you'll be emailing them and please reply back. Yeah. Get those numbers looking good. Okay, so we've got the people that we want to email. Couple things to note when we are batch emailing. You have the option to include all email addresses.
So you could send an email to all the contacts on the lead profile or the main contact itself. So it depends who you're wanting this to go to, but most people, if it's like a newsletter or something like that, you'd want to check this. That way it's delivered to everyone. The cool thing here is that you can send the email from yourself or the assigned agent. So this is really good for like admins. If you're sending a newsletter, you might send it on behalf of the assigned agent. So that looks a little bit more personalized. And again, it's the same thing as those email templates. You can use your merge fields to make it personalized. You can use templates that are pre-existing, things like that. The cool thing is there are places out there though that you can design your email like with design wise
Yep.
using HTML. And then once you preview it to yourself, you can actually copy the content and place it into Follow Up Boss for the more aesthetically pleasing batch emails.
Yes. Although I will say, I know a couple of people that do weekly newsletters through Follow Up Boss, and they just keep it super simple. They use emojis and stuff, but
Right.
it's not a super fancy layout.
Mhm.
I love MailChimp for doing that, but in the integration with Follow Up Boss, but sometimes,
For
you
sure.
know, I don't want to say less is more, but I see people with extremely high open rates who send very
Yeah.
simple batch emails very
Agreed.
consistently.
Yeah, for sure. Especially if it looks like it's like a super quick email sent from you. Again, it's not the generic, it's more personalized. Those work well. So yeah, you don't have to spend too much time on it. Just know that it is an option if you wanted to use it. Um, let's see. So once you send an email, you have or make your batch email, you have the ability to preview it, and then you also have the ability to schedule it as well. You can go back and edit, or if you did schedule it, so like let's just pretend to do it Saturday. Oh, can't send it. Never mind. We're gonna just keep going. So the cool thing about batch emails is in the content of it, we really want to put that pixel that we talked about earlier. The pixel is not just good for the new leads that come into your system to show you what they're looking at. It's also good for your past clients in Sphere because they could have some real estate goals coming up that you wouldn't have even known about. So it's going to be a conversation starter for any of the contacts in your database. But since we were sending this email to stale leads specifically, what we can do is send this batch email, go back to the smart list for recently active, and we would go to reporting, where am I at? Batch emails, and also see how many people opened, how many people clicked. And out of those stale leads, the ones that engaged and were, on your website, that is the low-hanging fruit that you need to, go reach out to again. So
Yeah, I assume people know this, but there's a saying about assuming. Any number in Follow Boss that's blue, or anything that's in Follow Boss is blue,
mhm,
you can click on. And the
right.
cool thing that opens or clicks, you can literally click on that and see the people that opened it.
Yep.
So some people will do maybe a secondary follow-up with people that engaged. A lot of cool stuff you can do with that, or resend to people that didn't open, which I don't always recommend, but it's a thing.
Mm-hmm. And you can
And
see the ones that bounced, and maybe that's a convert or a way to call them to call and get their email. Just another way to talk to
I
them. So
love that you said that. I actually did that recently. I was like, wait, why are these people not? And a couple of them were spelling errors that I just fixed. A couple of people I followed up with and cleaned it up. While we're in here, another really great question right on this. What is considered a good open percentage?
Ooh,
It's a very difficult answer to
it is
give.
very difficult.
Um, Largely because I personally think it's obviously tied to your database integrity as well as the content. If you're just like, this is my new listing, and they've been looking at a totally different zip code, then people don't want that
For sure.
necessarily. If I had to give a number, I mean, I think 15 to 20 or 25 is good for kind of a blanket answer. I mean, I work with people, and our email newsletter, they're decently over 50%, but it's really all about content and database integrity. Like, are these real
Mhm.
emails? Are they people that want to hear from you? And are you sending them something they actually want to open? Um,
Yeah.
I
And if
think the
you
key is,
are, oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, you're good. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, just if you are checking though the performance of them and like trying to switch it up and make it better and better and better, you should be seeing that open rate improve.
Right. That's exactly where I was headed. That's the key, right? Take what you get when you do it and
Mhm.
go, great, we got 13%. What can we do to get to 18? And yeah, and so on and so forth. Rinse and repeat.
Yeah, absolutely. Always improving.
Cool. There was another note or two, and somebody asked this in the chat, but it might have been private, so I want to mention it. Any email and follow boss that is sent to more than one person will be automatically added an unsubscribe link. It's can
Right.
spam law stuff. It's just how it works. There, you can't turn it off. You can't do. So that's another recommendation I have. If you are prospecting or going through older leads, maybe more so than a batch email, you may want to do that email template and hit them one by one if you
Yep.
don't want them to be able to unsubscribe, but it literally automatically happens. And another good quick question that's relevant, somebody asked, how do you unsubscribe people? There's a few ways to do it. I mean, obviously if they do it themselves, they
Right.
unsubscribe. What I do, which is funny, if somebody replies to me like, hey, please unsubscribe me, I just click the link in the email that they sent me, because that's will unsubscribe them.
Yeah.
Usually I'm not too uh passive aggressive about it. I'm just like, okay, no problem. Boom, just did what you could have done. But it does clean out, it marks through, it turns our email address orange and I think marks
Yep.
through it,
Yep.
and it applies an unsubscribe tag.
Yep.
The only way you can resubscribe them is to have written permission from them. Yes, I want to be added back,
Yep.
and send that to follow boss support.
You got
There's
it.
no
If and your
magical,
butts. Yep.
yeah, that's
Yeah, just send it over to our team and we can do it pretty quickly. But I do like that. Just because their email's orange though, doesn't mean you can't send one-on-one still. It's just like the action plans and the batch emailing.
right.
Um, yeah, but some people do it accidentally too. So
Yeah. Yeah, and we've had that too. People are like, I didn't unsubscribe. I'm like, well, it's
yeah,
orange.
you did.
There's a tag. Like, I don't know. I didn't do it. And then let's mention real quick. I think we covered the 10,000 per day, and we added some more in the chat on how to potentially upgrade that. We talked about the reporting. Let's briefly show the power up for this. So if you're an owner or an admin, I think admins can do this too, right?
I think it's just owners,
Okay. So in the
right?
top right menu,
Oh, yep.
there's an option for power ups. And if you go there, there's an option to globally turn this off.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't want your agents doing this, or if that's your company policy, you can do that. We're pretty sure it's on by default, meaning everybody can do it.
Yep.
But if you're an owner and you want to either limit that or just be mindful of it, you can turn it off globally for the account.
100%. Yep. Any other good questions in there?
Let me see. There's a couple. I think we answered some of them as we went.
Okay.
About to type a quick answer for one. We did the power up. One note that we had that we talked about a little bit, but actual use cases, like definitely a newsletter,
Oh, yeah.
obviously. I love things like reverse prospecting, in the
That's what I was
sense if
gonna
you're,
say.
yeah, if you're getting tags coming in that somebody inquired on this,
Yeah.
zip code or a property like this. Yeah, Dayton, walk us through how we could find those people to be able to then batch email them.
For sure. So let's talk about turning it on first, the auto tagging. That way we can use zip codes for reverse prospecting, but under admin and then tags, you can, oh, it's already on. You can turn on auto tagging. So when a new lead comes in, if we can parse the zip code in the city, we will auto tag them with that. So if you have a new listing, coming in a certain zip code, you can, filter by that zip code. I don't even know what zip code, but you can say tag includes, and you would pull a zip code, and then anyone that matches that criteria, you could send a batch email that's basically saying new home in this zip code, yada yada yada. And that's a really good way to batch email, and typically you can get a pretty good open rate through that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly. And again, that goes back to that, what we were talking about, that targeted, very
Mhm.
specific, sending relevant information. And this might inform your tagging strategy. So if you want to say, like we have some people, I know some people that do like a buyer's email list. So where people are like, oh, I'm actively looking, I do want to know more about whatever. And maybe it's not an MLS strip, or maybe it's both. But yeah, that ability to target those people, like, um, or even if you have tagged people that like sold with you last year. I mean, there's literally unlimited use for it.
Mhm.
But using tags and or really anything you can filter by. I mean, you can even do it on your smart list.
Yeah, and instead of sending a batch email, just know, like maybe your numbers have been down or something like that, you can like segment first, and then you can come to this first person, go to send email, do the template that you've created for the home and you're listing. Go ahead and send it and move on to the next person. You can just power through that list really fast too.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm a really big fan of that. And like I said, don't start sending 10,000 a day. Start send 5 and see what happens. Check the
Yeah.
report.
Yep.
Somebody asked what power ups real quick. Since we're here, we'll tackle that, and then we may have a little more on batch, but so power ups are a feature, kind of some extras.
Hmm.
And again, you may see different ones if you're an agent versus an admin versus an owner. Um, but yeah, in that top right menu, drop down, there's a power ups button there, and that'll take you to these options. So there are things like that have changed over time. The Google
Yeah.
login forced that. Lead source lockdown enables your agents not to change lead
Yep.
sources. Yeah, a lot of good
And
stuff.
the like depending on when you got your follow up boss account, like some of these might be on or off by default compared to what they are now. Because we were talking, we think agent action plans is on by default, but if you didn't want your agents to make their own action plans, you could turn this off. Same with batch email. So,
Right.
yep.
Perfect. So yeah, and we have a note here that just says built-in mechanisms to protect email reputation. So that's essentially the fact that it is going through a SendGrid account tied to Follow-Up Boss.
Yeah.
And we mentioned earlier, if you need to upgrade your sends, I put it in the chat, but I'll just say it out loud too. You can add SendGrid for additional
Right.
quantity, as well as you can actually connect your domain. It's a little bit complicated. Somebody or support can potentially help you, but you can verify your domain and that you're a real business, and that helps a bit with deliverability. Follow Boss
Right.
also does that for you, but again, if you're reaching the send limit, or if you're really nerdy and want to authenticate your domain with SendGrid, then that's a thing. Quick important point: SendGrid has 2 levels. You just want this, what's called the SendGrid API, and it's like $15 a month. You don't need to pay for the big one with all the contacts. It actually doesn't even do the same thing. So SendGrid API is what you want if you need to upgrade.
Yeah, no, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's not a lot of people need it once you guys bumped up to 10,000, but some people do. So, and the only other note I had was just Pixel, which we covered, but just
Mhm.
again, if you're using a batch email or email templates or action plans to drive people back to your website, and having that recent activity, or people who've been on our website who haven't had a call in 15 days or whatever,
Yep.
it's really powerful to use this data to build a smart list to say, hey, this guy opened our email yesterday, or this guy went back on the site because we sent a link to our site, to a blog post, or to a property.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, really use it to your advantage. I mean, it comes with your account. It's really good for people that are ghosting you. If you send a link with or send a link with the website that has the pixel, and they're unresponsive, but you see they just favorited a property, you can, send them a text or an email that says, "Hey, check out this property. I think you're gonna love it." They're gonna be mind blown, and they're probably gonna work with you now because they, think you can
Right.
read minds. Same thing goes for those contacts that say that they're looking at like 700,000 price range, but they're actually favoriting in the 500 range, um, just to kind of help you tailor their experience a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So, I think to kind of take us out, I think ultimately, you know, in some sense, you can't break it, but also start small,
Yeah.
measure what you're doing. That'll pay much bigger dividends than just hopping in and being like, I got to send this template to a whole bunch of people. I got to do this thing or do that thing. I know it's exciting to be able to do it. But really starting with core group of people that are actually going to open and engage and reply and click on things will really serve you well. So
Yep.
obviously there's a million other things you could potentially do, but Dayton, take us out with just any other wise words of doing email and follow up, boss.
I think always just come from a really good place of intention, and you'll probably just see good results from that. Don't be spammy. Um, I think as long as you are coming from a place of good intentions, it's going to show through in your reporting, and all that will reflect.
Absolutely. That's great advice. Awesome. Well, thank you for being on. It was great.
Thank you. This is awesome.
Cool. And thank you guys for your great questions. I think we got them all tackled. If we didn't somehow, drop us a note in the Facebook group or reach out to support. They can always help as well. So you guys have a
All right.
great week until the next time.
Thank you. Bye.